Amy Poehler's Yes Please, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I wasn't sure if she was just going to try and be hilarious the whole time. I wasn't sure if I should expect a standard biography, and it was kind of a combination of both of those. It was a really easy read, or I should say it was an easy listen, and Amy is clearly not trying to be hilarious throughout the book, although there are definitely times when I did have a little chuckle. She's very clear with the fact that her personal life is her personal life, and she still intends to keep that personal throughout the book, which I understand and I don't understand. Like, just because we've bought the book or we've watched her on TV or in movies doesn't mean we own any part of her life, doesn't mean she owes us anything. But in the same breath, that's kind of like the point of a biography. So it does feel like a little bit more of a superficial look into Amy Poehler's life. But that could also be because even when she is talking about more serious things, there's always a flare of lightheartedness and hilarity that comes with Amy Poehler. And initially I found this like quite enjoyable. I found it a funny and easy way to listen to her discuss difficult topics, but by the end of the book I kind of wanted a little bit more meat, and it kind of continued on the same path, and maybe even got a little bit more, not superficial, but it was just more about her roles and her life and the amazing people that she's worked with, but it was more about that. In the early section of the book, there is this really interesting section where she talks about the voice that we often hear in our head that tells us horrible things about ourselves, and she calls it a demon. And she had this really lovely, quite long quote, and it's, hopefully as you get older, you start to learn how to live with your demon. It's hard at first. Some people give their demon so much room that there is no space in their head or bed for love. They feed their demon and it gets really strong, and then it makes them stay in abusive relationships or starve their beautiful bodies. She actually had a number of other quotes which I really liked, and they were funny, but in the context of what she was talking about, they made sense. Like, it's important to know when it's time to turn in your kazoo. And the other one I really liked was, hard work doesn't always matter. Pretending to not want something can really work. Really not caring if you get it takes a lifetime of practice. Try to care less. Practice ambivalence. Learn to let go of wanting it. Treat your career like a bad boyfriend. Your career will openly flirt with other people while you're around. Towards the end of the book, she has this section where she talks about ways in which her phone is trying to kill her, and one of them is her son fell into a pool and obviously she jumped in and saved him, and then her biggest concern was that her phone was destroyed. But another one was both interesting and disturbing and entertaining. She says that there are studies that show that there are 3 things that shorten people's lifespan, and that includes smoking, artificial sweeteners, and exposure to gratuitous violence. And she makes a fair point that we've kind of all been really super desensitized to that, which is kind of scary because it's available on our phones all the time, so therefore her phone is trying to kill her. But she actually tells the story of a friend who has a child who Googled naked, and the first image that popped up was a woman who had asparagus up her vagina and up her butt. So it does make you wonder what the hell we're seeing on our phones and on our devices. And it's a little bit worrying, but I can't lie, I also thought that was a little bit funny, although very disturbing. Generally, I liked the Amy Poehler-ness of this book, but it does kind of feel like more of a general career overview. She does have, as I've said, lots of good life insight and advice, but it does get watered down and lost in the comedy. And it may sound like I'm standing in 2 camps on this one, and I am. It was an easy book to listen to, but will I listen to it again? Probably not. Did I like it? Yes. Did I love it? No. Was I able to put it down? Yes, and I did for 2 months. Did I laugh? Yeah, I chuckled a few times. And did I get bored? Yeah, sometimes, but it didn't last long. I would give this book 3 out of 5. It was good, but not great. I don't feel like I know a lot more about Amy Poehler than I did before. That being said, there was nothing wrong with the book. I enjoyed it, and her insights into her career were interesting, but keep in mind that by the time you get to the end of this book, it feels like at least 75% of it was about her career. But to be fair, it was pretty much exactly what I expected in terms of satisfaction. It was moderately amusing, so it wasn't exactly how I expected the balance to come out. I expected it to be kind of hilarious with no real comment on life or the challenges of life. And it does comment on the challenges of life, and it is moderately amusing. So it kind of, in a roundabout way, got me where I thought I was going to be, but got me there a different way. I still love Amy Poehler. There's just something kind of hilarious about her, and I really enjoyed the audiobook because she's the one reading it. And the last chapter she reads in, I guess, kind of essentially a comedy club in front of a bunch of people. And they're laughing at a whole bunch of stuff that isn't funny, but it is funny to hear her bounce off the crowd and react quite naturally when she reads the book. But don't go into this book expecting some deep insight into who Amy Poehler is and what her life is like, because you're just going to get tiny little fragments and snippets that give you a very vague idea of who she is. It's more to learn about what her life has been like in terms of her work and her comedy. I hope you've enjoyed this review. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and click like. Let me know below in the comments if you have read this book or listened to the audiobook and what you thought too.